Now, what do you think of this crazy parlay? This crazy parlay pays out massively. I like to call it the OG line, or we can call it the sentimental value line. We're picking all the OGs on this card because we have got a bunch. All right, how you doing, fight fans? My name is Timmy Shoes with Inside Fighting, and this is how to fuck up your parlay. I'm here with the man, the myth, the legend, InsideFighting.com's founder and CEO, Robby Clark. Robby, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm excited to, fuck up some parlays. So let's get this done.
Yeah, we got some interesting fights. It's a pretty good fight night card. UFC Orlando. They wanted to give the Floridians a good show. And we've got some interesting betting lines. You know, there are a lot of OGs on the card, right? We've got Darren Elkins. We've got Michael Johnson. We've got Clay Guida. Those guys are all on the undercards. But then also on the main card, we've got Wonderboy. We've got RDA. And we've got your boy Tai Tuivasa. He's fighting on the main card as well. So what do you think of the card?
Man, I think it's actually underrated. I think we just had one, unfortunately, pull out the female fight with Ortega's fiance. Is
Yep.
it? That was unfortunate, but it's actually an underrated card. I was looking at this and I'm like, yeah, there's a bunch of OGs on here and some good betting lines as well too. I like the underdog lines.
Yeah, we got some crazy underdogs too. Bryan Barbarena is a plus 425, and RDA is a minus 550 favorite. What do you make of that line?
So, I mean, that's an interesting one because you got obviously RDA he's an OG, he's a veteran. He is coming off a loss down at lightweight when he went back down there, and I think lightweight is kind of the perfect weight for him. He's a little bit small for welterweight. Obviously, he's a grinder, but Bryan Barberena, I mean, he's just so tough. He's obviously coming off that big win against Lawler, and he's proven people wrong time and time again. I would give like maybe a slight edge to RDA, but that plus 400, you really can't get away from that. There's no way I could put a bet on RDA at minus 500 just because Bryan is just so tough. And at welterweight, he's got the size on him. I think he can avoid the takedown too. He's got that wrestling background. So the odds seem like I wouldn't have expected him to be that big of an underdog. Maybe 2-1, but 4-1. I like that bet. I like Bryan all day on that one, to be honest.
That is a high value pick, I would say, just because, I mean, it's low risk, high reward. Barbarena, he's had some losses, but he's lost to some big guys. He lost to Leon Edwards, the champ. He lost to Vicente Luque. He lost to my boy Randy Brown. It's not like he's losing to nobodies. He's coming off his big loss against, his big win against Robbie Lawler, like you mentioned. So that might be a pick. That might be a pick to go with for a heavy underdog. But what do you make of the main event, Kevin Holland versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson? Now, this is not as big of a gap. Wonderboy is a plus 130 underdog. Holland's a 150 favorite. Sorry, minus 150 favorite. What do you think of that fight?
So who do I want to win? I would like to see Wonderboy pull that off for sure. I think that Kevin Holland, obviously the last fight didn't go his way. I don't even think there was a punch thrown in that fight, but I think Kevin is going to take this. If I'm honest, like I haven't seen Wonderboy really slow down again. He's only been stopped or knocked out once. I just think that, if Kevin continues to fight, he had that short little retirement. That was, whatever, but I think Kevin is gonna find a way. I really do. I think Kevin is gonna. I think it's his time. If he's gonna hit a prime, he's getting into his prime. Whereas what's Wonderboy now? 39, 40. I mean,
he's 40. I think he's already 40.
Yeah, he's 40. And listen, he's great, but he's not going to offer anything on the ground. I don't think either guy is going to try to wrestle. But if they did try to wrestle and get in there, Kevin's got the range. I think, I think Kevin's going to win this one. And I hope I'm wrong on that, to be honest. But if I was betting on it, I would, I'd take Barbarena just because the odds there. And then I'd go with Kevin Holland on this one because it's pretty even on the odds side. And, youth is definitely on Holland's side for this one.
it is interesting because Wonderboy's lost his last two fights, but he lost against two grapplers. He finally got a guy he can stand up with, but it's also a guy who's got knockout power, a guy who's rangy, and a guy who has a little bit of grappling, not the wrestling. He's got some submissions. I'm going to have to go with Holland, but I think Wonderboy can pull it out. And the reason is because I think it's going to be on the feet. I think Wonderboy's tricky. He's got that in and out karate movement, and he's a really good point fighter. I could also see it where, Wonderboy's up on the cards, and then Holland catches him, and then that's it right there.
So definitive A. So you're going Wonderboy. I'm going Holland on this one.
All right, let's put it up.
Let's do it.
Now we've got your boy Tai Tuivasa, a good friend of Inside Fighting. He is fighting Sergei Pavlovich, a staple in the heavyweight division. Tai is in a weird spot right now because he almost knocked out Cyril Gane. It was a great fight, great performance. I mean, if he had connected just a slightly more solidly, I think the fight would have been over right then and there. But he's coming off a loss. He's in that weird spot where he's a top 5 guy. He is right there, a win or two away from fighting for the championship. But he lost to Gane. And now he's got Pavlovich in front of him, another striker who, by the way, looks huge. I don't know if you've seen the pictures of him going around on social media, but Pavlovich looks enormous. And if Tai can win, he puts himself right back into that title contention conversation. But Pavlovich is that guy who's always sort of there in that title contention talk. So what do you make of that fight?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to bet against Tai. And to be honest, he really impressed me against Gane. Like, who's caught Gane like that? Nobody's caught Gane like that. I know Francis took him down and he went in there, but nobody even catches him. And, he's a warrior. He just went out on his shield there. But there were some times where, just like you said, if he was one more connection away from really, putting Cyril down, and Cyril's like, he's the biggest, best defensive striker at heavyweight by far. So just even to catch him like that is not an easy task. Tai, obviously against Derek Lewis, looked very impressive. And you know what? His takedown defense has gotten better. Like, Cyril's got decent takedowns, and Tai looked impressive there. So, I mean, he can just catch everybody on his feet, and he's so deceptively fast. People don't he's extremely coordinated, knows how to move that body around. So, I got like Tai's an underdog in this one. Dangerous parlay. I might fuck up your parlay, but I'm going with, I think a huge bet is Tai Barbarena, and then Kevin Holland. I think like $50 gets you over $1,000, return on that one, a 3-way parlay. So with those odds,
that is high risk, high reward parlay. I like it. Pavlovich, I'm glad you brought up the speed of Tai, because people really underestimate just how fast he is. And I think that speed was the reason why he caught Gane. I don't think Gane was expecting him to be that fast. And Pavlovich is good at range. He's got teeps. He likes to keep guys at a distance, and he's a striker. But there is a noted speed difference when people are watching the fight. Just look at how, Pavlovich, he throws out his jab, he throws out his teeps and stuff. He's going to be a lot slower than Tai in there. So I think Tai is the guy to go with. And I believe that Tai is the slight favorite. Is he not?
He's actually an underdog.
Oh, yeah, he is an underdog.
Yeah.
Pavlovich is the -180 favorite.
And listen, he's going to find a way to get on the inside. He just does that. And when he gets on the inside, Tai, he is terrifying. He lets off a combo, you know what I mean? It's just like, if he catches you with one, it's lights out. And that little speed difference helped him with Derek Lewis as well, too, who's just obviously throws bombs. Another surprisingly coordinated guy with his hands, Derek Lewis. But I think that I wouldn't bet against Tai in this one. And he actually impressed me even more against Cyril Gane in that fight. And of course, his previous win before that, he's a warrior. He'll fight anybody. So I'm pulling for Tai in this one.
Now, what do you think of this crazy parlay? This crazy parlay pays out massively. I like to call it the OG line, or we can call it the sentimental value line. We're picking all the OGs on this card because we have got a bunch. Now, this line would be Darren Elkins, The Damage. he's a huge underdog. And then we've got Michael Johnson. He's fighting again. He's a big underdog. We've got Angela Hill. We've got Clay Guida, RDA, and Wonderboy. Now, RDA is a massive favorite, so that brings down the payout a little bit. But on stake.com, if you put it 200, I think it's 200 of their coins, the website coins, it pays out like 20,000. What do you think of the OG parlay?
What are the fighters on that? You said you got Darren Elkins, Michael Johnson, RDA,
Angela Hill, Clay Guida, and Wonderboy.
Type of that in here. Angela Hill and Wonderboy.
Yes, I think here's the thing.
Yeah, $100 parlay would pay out 69,386. So a $10 parlay, you got 6,938. Listen, I mean, Clay Guida, again, you got an OG there. And he's pulled up some upsets as well, too. Darren Elkins is like never supposed to win, and he just does. Like, he finds a way to outlast his opponents. I got a ton of respect for him. I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. You know, he's good, gets a lot of credit in the sparring room, and he's just so damn tough. Jonathan Pierce, another young up and comer. But you know, toughness runs out at a certain point. So like, that's a dangerous one. Michael Johnson is so much better than his record actually shows. This guy has had some difficulty with grapplers in the past, but his stand-up, he's always so close. And there's a lot of fights where he's ahead. And even in the Khabib, he caught Khabib a couple times, and then Khabib does what Khabib does. And it's like, you know, he wrestled bears. It's a gap to get up to. So I like that. I like going for Michael Johnson. He just seems to be on the wrong side of decisions and fights sometimes. He gets caught near the end when he's performing well, but he's always been super talented. I think he used to train back at the Black Zillions back in the day. I like that. I think Darren Elkins is a dangerous pick. Clay Guida, I mean, you can never count this guy out. Scott Holtzman is good. He's not necessarily known for incredible submissions. It's going to be grappling. It's going to be, you know, survival of the fittest right there. And Clay is always a grinder. So I think that's a solid one. Angela Hill is another one. Like, you know, she's had some she's got really close to the belt. So we'll see if she can retain it there. But that's a pretty even fight right there. I think she's got a good shot. Tai Tuivasa, RDA. Yeah, I mean, I have my minus 600, it says right here. And yeah, I mean, he should, like, if it was an even fight, I'd go RDA. But Bryan, like, I would not be surprised for him to pull that out. And then Stephen Thompson, that's a pretty close fight as well, too. I could see that going either way. Of course, I chose Holland, but hey, listen, for $10 and a $7,000 return, I mean, yeah, I mean, that's how to fuck up your parlay. That's one I would throw down on for sure.
Lowest risk, highest reward I can think of. You were right about Michael Johnson. He's the kind of guy, he always wins the fights he's supposed to lose and loses the fights he's supposed to win. So he's an underdog. Maybe he pulls it out. I mean, he beat Dustin Poirier. He beat Tony Ferguson. He wobbled Khabib. You know, he's a guy who plays up to his competition and plays down to his competition sometimes. With that parlay, I think
was finished by strikes was Michael Johnson, I believe. So, yes,
and I think for that parlay, Darren Elkins is probably the one where I think that's the parlay buster. I've noticed there's a step back in Elkins' speed. You know, he does outlast guys, but he has a pretty tough opponent in Jonathan Pierce, who's younger. He's looking sharp. So that I think would be the parlay buster. But hey, for $10, $7,000, I think that's really the way to fuck up your parlay right there.
Yeah, the Darren. I mean, John Pierce. His last one was against Makwan Americani, which is, you know, like, and he looked good. That's a tough fight for Darren. I'm not gonna lie. And I remember, what fight was it? Years ago, I was at a fight where he won by a head kick in like the third round, and people were just going nuts. And you know, Darren's an OG. He put together a big win streak back in the day, but you know, he's actually won 3 out of his last 4 fights. So, you know, hey, anything can happen, but he is fighting a young stud right now. So we'll see. We'll see if he can outlast this one too.
All right, so your picks, if I'm not mistaken, you got Holland, you got Tai, and you've got Barbarena. Is that who you're rolling with?
I'm rolling with Barbarena, man. I can't get away from those odds. Plus 400. Come on now. He can catch you. He just finished Lawler. Yeah, I can't. I'm not going to go against him on that one. Maybe RDA is struggling to find motivation, although he always looks motivated when he's fighting. 170 is he'd be that's a big weight class for him. So I think they're evenly sized, and Bryan can out tough it with anyone. I don't think RDA is a top 5 welterweight fighter. I think he's definitely top and was obviously the greatest at lightweight for a period of time. But at those odds, yeah, I'm pulling for Bryan on that one.
Very nice. So I think I'm going to have to go with Wonderboy just for the sentimental value. I think he gets it done. He can point it out. I don't think he's going to knock out Holland, but he can definitely dance around him a little bit. Then I'm going to go with Tai too, because I think Tai gets it done. And I'm going to have to go with RDA. It's hard for me to bet against my Brazilians. So let's see. Next week, we'll see who won. Who had the better parlay, you or me?
All right, brother, let's do it. And yeah, man, I look forward to doing this again. So let's hopefully not fuck up this parlay, but I like this. We'll see what happens this weekend. It's going to be an exciting round of fights.
We'll be keeping score. All right. Thank you for joining me, Robby. I'm Timmy Shoes with Inside Fighting. Check us out on the social medias. We're on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, InsideFighting.com. You know where to find us.